When it comes to negotiating environmental issues, all things are local, so this video can only offer basics. What you and the company face involves balancing the following: the particular geography of your area, the type of resource to be developed, the method to be used in extraction, such as underground mining versus surface mining, and the attendant risks, the scale of the project, its footprint on the land, the underground geology, the local water situation, the laws of the country, the social and cultural setting, the government's capacity to oversee and enforce, and the company's experience and track record on environmental protections. So, it's complicated. Much of this information should be in a government's environmental and social impact assessment done on the proposed project. It describes how the project will affect, for better or worse, the region and localities where it'll be. It can be an excellent insight into the costs and benefits of developing the project. It may only influence the decisions made by politicians and policymakers, but it carries weight. Environmental and social impact assessments also require a certain level of value judgment by those performing them, so they can't be seen as the only perspective on environmental concerns. Big environmental considerations like glaciers or large-scale deforestation or extreme water use may be, but are not always, dealt with in extractive negotiations at the national level. You'll need to find out about this. But there are also other considerations on a more intimate level, such as the development of project-related infrastructure like roads and pipelines, the siting of the project, land and water use, its effect on plants and animals, waste disposal, and so on. And you'll need to play an important role in deciding these. Every country has its environmental laws, and the UN Environmental Program and industrialized countries also have universally useful guidelines and high standards. Companies will be familiar with the laws of the country they're operating in, although they may try to get the government to set aside or change some of them. They'll also likely be familiar with other countries' higher standards, perhaps such as US or Canada, and the community can ask for better standards under certain circumstances. It's important to remember industry processes are constantly changing and improving in technology, application, and standards. It's unlikely that companies will tell you any of the current best practices unless it's a selling point. But a friendly university mining program or field specialists, including and perhaps especially the ones operating at the top international level, can tell you about cutting-edge options to look into. These can help you know some options when negotiating, although it should be stressed that many new techniques can be expensive, are sometimes unproven, and not every company has the ability to use them. Environmental protections do cost the company at least some money and effort. The companies dislike being asked to do more than they absolutely have to do. They prefer and are more comfortable with other existing standards than new and innovative ones, so they may well balk at requests for the new unless the new standards are demonstrably preferable or even essential. But if they've previously used an improved technique elsewhere, or it's an industry standard, they can't be surprised when you ask. With any protections you negotiate, be sure it applies to subcontractors as well. Crucially, there are variations by site. For example, my area had shale gas. One of the big environmental problems for shale in my area was how to get rid of the wastewater. Many available processes like recycling are time-consuming and expensive. But my state decided it would not let companies do the cheaper disposal method of re-injecting the wastewater back into the ground because the geology would not permit it, and other areas that had tried it had seen small earthquakes. In other places, drier places, shale can pose a risk to shared water resources. So not all problems are equally applicable from site to site. So know your stuff and know your area. Limit dangerous or controversial practices to the extent feasible. And find out what the laws are in the event of an environmental catastrophe, just in case. Look at two different types of environmental concerns, large and small. Here are some questions you want answers to. Water. Number one issue: how much water will be needed by the day or week? What is the draw? Where will it come from? Will it be a nearby river or lake? And how will it affect the water available for people, agriculture, and animals? Who has priority? Because sometimes the government gives priority to the mine, not the people. Recycling or pollution or wastewater disposal. All extractive projects create at least some wastewater. How will that be treated? If you don't specify, and unless there are good laws, the company could just dump it, and it could get into the local water system. If relevant, make sure the company has a plan to prevent acid mine drainage. Acid mine drainage happens when water enters metal or coal mines, usually after the mine is closed, and the combination of water and the mineral makes the water so acid or alkaline, it becomes toxic, and it can kill life in rivers and other waterways. There are processes to prevent it, and you want to ask for them. The water will need to be monitored for the life and afterlife of the project. Most companies will do this with a lot of expertise. But to be sure, to be able to trust the result, you may want to consider having the community become involved in the water testing. The International Finance Corporation and Dickinson College in Pennsylvania have useful material for how a community can monitor the local water quality. Land. How will the company prevent soil erosion, and what will their process be for preserving the topsoil so the area can be reclaimed? What will be the plan for reclamation after the project? Will it be cleaned up, made safe, and replanted with native plants? Will it have a new specified use in line with the previous ownership or now community agreement? Protect the local biodiversity, such as plants and animals, and prevent the introduction of new, harmful, and invasive ones. The project will almost necessarily involve the acquisition of land. But is there a way the community can glean assets or access to the land in question? For example, can the company minimize the number of trees cut down? Often companies just clear-cut the forest, but in many situations that's not necessary, just convenient, so talk it over. If part of the forest needs to be cut down, who gets the money from the timber, or can it be used by the community? Can some of the land, at a distance from the emerging mine or drilling site, still be farmed in the short term? Can local artisanal miners work out a deal with the company for the benefit of the whole community? Air. Natural gas extraction can lead to the leakage of methane gas at many points along the extraction process. These can be monitored remotely long distance, but the extraction point and transmission lines can and should be regularly checked for leaks using relatively inexpensive special infrared cameras. There's also a risk of methane and other gases leaking from coal mines. Communities should be given a sense of the scale of the project, especially its surface impact on land, communities, and resources, the so-called footprint of the project. At all times, the community should have the water closest to the proposed project tested for a baseline reading of its quality before the project starts on any level. It should be regularly monitored by an independent, qualified lab at set times. After that, to ensure its quality is maintained. Chemicals used in the process. During the extraction processes, the community uses different chemicals to extract or refine the minerals. Some of these are toxic or dangerous. For example, the use of cyanide and mercury in gold refinement, and sometimes benzene, which can cause cancer, and other chemical additives are used to extract unconventional gas or oil. Find out what chemicals are being used and what protections are in place to safeguard the community from exposure. Waste disposal, including tailings dams. If it's mining, how will the tailings and waste be managed, and what safeguards, safety plans, and liabilities are in place? Tailings dams are designed to hold the waste, including contaminated water, that comes out of the development of a mine. These tailings dams can occasionally fail and flood the towns in its path with toxic sludge. A recent case was in Brazil, where more than a dozen people died, and villages were swamped with toxic mud that got into the rivers, killed the fish, and made the water undrinkable. There are some methods of tailings processing that can minimize the risks. Also monitor any tailings sites to keep it safe. Even without a tailings dam, there are still issues of wastewater disposal that communities should ask about. Agreements about these protections they're monitoring and the company's liability should be included in any writing and agreement on the project. Set up systems to have the tailings and waste systems independently checked on a regular basis. Remote technology is great, but results and trust are stronger when using human oversight as well. Pipelines. Communities where the proposed project is oil or natural gas should find out and set guidelines for the placement, monitoring, and land rights when it comes to pipelines and any smaller transmission lines that feed into the larger ones.